Good morning and welcome. Happy Thursday. Here's our early morning intuitive guidance. Got a cool card today. I think you're going to enjoy it. Give you some things to contemplate, which is always useful. And I want to kind of preface the card with a little bit about kind of my path with this stuff. Good morning, Peggy. Glad you are here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Looks like there's two of you here. Only Peggy's name is rolling, but we'll wait and see who else greets, and then I know who's here. Good morning, good morning. Glad to see you. Cindy, good morning. Good morning. So, my story with this particular deck of cards is that what initially attracted me to it was the unusual nature of the card deck itself. It's not a little rectangular deck like most of them are. And this deck was used in a reading for me that I felt had really powerful depth to it. So one of the things I was thinking about when this is the deck that presented itself today was I wondered if we were meant to do a multiple day reading. There's a variety of them in the book, one of which is a shadow reading. And so what you do, good morning Gwen, glad you're here, is you pull out all of the shadow cards from the deck. And so you've got two piles, the shadow cards and the other cards. And then you pick, you look for a particular card in the pile, one of the shadow cards, and then you take that card and the one on either side of it, and the basic gist is those two aspects of yourself on either side of that first shadow card are the parts of yourself that aren't talking to each other well because of the shadow. And so then you pick a card that is going to illuminate that misconnection or that disconnection more clearly, and then you can pick an additional card that gives you guidance in terms of how to address that disconnect. And I thought, well, that'd be interesting to do with the group over the course of 5 days. It tested that it is not time for that yet. Good morning, Beth. Glad you are here. Welcome, welcome. But that pulling one card will be moving us in that direction. And it was funny because then as I looked at the card, there's a part in there about your path and finding your path and knowing when to jump paths, etc. So that's kind of what our card's about today. But I thought it was interesting, the flow of how I got there. So, and for myself, well, I think that'll come up in as I'm reading the card, but it is the Wild Harmonic deck. Good morning, Mel. Glad you're here. Good morning, Joe Neal. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to those of you I missed while I was talking. But again, I love the image on the front of this. I see that as helping hands. Everybody's connected. And that has been a theme for us, hasn't it? So, and here's the cover of the book, which is one of the cards also. So it's a woman with the butterflies flying off of her. So let's start with some breath just to open up the space. Nice deep breath in and out. Good morning, and breath in and out. Letting your shoulders drop, wiggling out a few of the creaks and groans. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And just imagine yourself opening, ready to receive, being receptive. Okay? And our card for today is one of the Earth of Fire cards. There's various series in this deck. Earth of Fire, Earth of Water, Fire of Water, blah, blah, blah. A whole bunch of them. There's shadows, there's all kinds of things. This one is Earth of Fire, Unfolding Path. Earth of Fire, Unfolding Path. So as you see the card or as you hear those words, what do you notice within yourself? Tune in. What are your thoughts? First thing I see, like the gray on the side almost looked like either giant monolithic rocks or faces. Faces staring in at the fire. What do you see? So, I'm gonna grab a drink here. We're supposed to have rain, rain, rain most of the day today. So we'll see what happens. So this card is Unfolding Path. As the earth energies ascend into the driving will, the fuels of will become the indicator of the path to take. So again, our answers are coming from within, our will. We have free will. Paying attention to that, not letting it be overrun by ego, is part of our process. But let's see where we go. So the meditation, finding my way of passion, knowing what moves me, and choosing that direction. Good morning, Linda. Welcome. To find my path, my joy, my excitement, my heart, my bliss, my desire, my will, I turn to that which feeds my inspiration to go. So what inspires you? Where do you get all, like, the words tumble out and you can't quite keep up with your own mouth? What excites you? Where's your inspiration? Good morning, Beth. Glad you're here. I already greeted Beth. Oh, and we're up to 8. Fabulous. Love 8. Love 8. Learning well what stokes my fires, I am able to look for signs from life as to where to go to get what I desire. Again, following the guidance. Following the guidance. We don't have to take a machete and chop down the forest as we're going. Merely walk the path. Merely walk the path. This knowledge also comes in handy in determining if a path has played itself out. A clear sign to either gather more wood, you can restoke some fires, or move on. There's a different path. There's a different path. And some of you are going to go, yeah, but how do I know? How do I know? When you sit with it, when you allow the uncertainty, the path will emerge. Isn't that what we've been working on for quite some time here? And obviously you can tell I'm feeling a shift from, I don't know where the hell I'm going, to, oh, some doors are opening. This is cool. So I may as well pitch this little piece in here right now. There was AARP decided to do a nationwide building of community kind of thing. And so in Wisconsin, they approached 4 different communities, including Appleton. Good morning, Carolyn. Welcome, welcome. Including Appleton, and offered this program that is called Town Makers, I think is the name of it. Town Makers. And I had heard of it through someone at one of the conferences. It was just a passing remark, and I thought, ooh, that's interesting. That was before I even knew Appleton had been picked. So I looked it up online. Good morning, Bobby. Glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. And saw that indeed Appleton was one of 4 towns in Wisconsin that got tapped for this AARP program, Town Makers. And I thought, well, that sounds like something that might fit with intentional community, etc., etc. So I read about it, and I finagled an invitation for myself. And I not only finagled an invitation for myself, I invited 3 other people. And they all 3 showed up, which I thought was fabulous. So there were probably 20 people in the room, maybe, and they're hoping to grow it. But it's a 12 series program once a month where these people who have disparate things that they do, but it's all related to building a town, having community, came together. And last night was introductions and talking about what do we do, where does our passion lie, what most gets in our way, and we're forging alliances among ourselves. I can see over the course of the 12 months that some really awesome things are going to be happening, because there were quite a few of us in the room, I can't even guess how many, who have our dream, our vision, and we just need the assistance to make it happen. And there are others in the room who are the dream makers. So John Searles, the guy from WEDA, which is a funding source, a philanthropist who picks out projects he likes and funds them. Lots of cool people in the room, right? And some very people at the beginning stage. One woman from the Hmong community brought her 2 adult sons, and so we could see the next generation and how their minds were perking on this stuff. And the youngest son said he would like to see some younger people in the room like himself. He's obviously a mover and a shaker and cutting edge, etc., but he wants to see more of his peers there. And I'm like, heck yeah, invite. So this is going to be an interesting, I'm going to call it a vehicle that might help ensure that the Zion affordable housing project happens, that might ensure that my intentional community happens. I in turn may be able to help ensure that my friend Jason, who wants to do the nested small local businesses that pay a living wage, his dream comes true. Cool. So definitely a path that puts some wind in my sails. So this card is perfect. This card is absolutely perfect, right? Unfolding path. So, next part. Starting a fire in myself is one thing. Keeping it going is an entirely different affair. Don't we see that? How many of us and how many others have we watched get all excited about something initially and then it just kind of doesn't last for the long haul. It peters out, it runs out of steam, right? Fire follows the path of fuel. Fire only goes where there is something to become alive on. Isn't that an interesting way to think about it? So remember all the cartoons where they'd run the string of gunpowder and they'd light it at one end and it would fall? That's this gist. And then poof, it takes off. So that's what we're looking for, is where's the path of fuel? Where's the path of fuel? How do I lay my own path of fuel? Okay? So I'm going to read that sentence again because I think that's a key takeaway out of this thing. Fire follows the path of fuel. Fire only goes where there is something to become alive on. Knowing what fuels my fires helps me both know which direction to go and when a path has come to an end. Of course, very skillful fires can leap across a void to find a new branch upon which to alight. So again, it's that discernment process of, is this path really at its dead end? Or is there a way to leap to a different path which has fuel, and off we go? So here's your inquiry question. And Cindy, if you wouldn't mind posting this, I would be very happy and grateful. Where does the fuel for my fire lay? And am I going in that direction? Where does the fuel for my fire lay? And am I going in that direction? So I'll give you an example of that. Last night, again, there's 20 people around the table. Not everybody's stories resonated with me, right? There's people who are doing amazing things, but they're just not my wheelhouse. They're not my path. They're not my fuel, right? But there were the other people who are running parallel processes to mine. They have similar thought process, etc. Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate it. And attending to, paying attention to those people. One of the things I see, which kind of just boggles my mind, is oftentimes it's right in front of us where the fuel is, but we've got some subconscious blocks in the way, so we don't see the fuel and we don't ignite it. So that's why we've done all the talking we've done all the breathing we've done about stilling yourself, just allowing the uncertainty, allowing the empty space, because we know nature abhors a vacuum. So if we have that empty space of uncertainty, I don't know which direction to go, the answer by definition is going to be coming to us because nature abhors a vacuum. So you hold that uncomfortable space for that uncertainty, and pretty soon a meeting like yesterday's pops up. Or someone says something. One woman shared an interesting story, and I'm sure most of us have a bazillion stories like this. Divine right timing and divine right order. So she is a real estate developer, a small scale real estate developer. It's her and her husband. And she shares with everybody that she had a very traumatic childhood. And that I believe that influences the properties that she takes on and rehabs, etc. So there was a particular property that was part of the trauma of her childhood, and it had really fallen into disrepair, and she felt her own trauma every time she drove past that house. And she said to her husband, someday I want to buy that house. Over the course of time, she worked up the nerve to write a letter to the owner of the house, who was the person who had owned it when she was a child. And she walked up to the house, knocked on the door, and was going to hand him the letter. She introduced herself, he remembered her, blah, blah, and she was going to say to him, if at any point you decide to sell your house, I would like to buy it. In their conversation, he says, yeah, we're going to put the house on the market. Mic drop, right? To the divine unfolding. There's times when we think about something. I remember another story from The Secret where one of the teachers in The Secret talked about this, having seen this magazine cover with this amazing house on the cover, and he had torn off the cover and kept it and thought, I want to own this house, right? It's on a magazine cover, the Better Homes and Gardens house, right? Throws it in a box, life intervenes, on things go. 5 years later they move, and he's unpacking boxes, and one of his kids comes up and picks out the magazine cover and says, Daddy, what's this? And he looks at it and he goes, well, that's a house that I wanted to buy 5 years ago. And the kid's like, it's the house we bought. And he looked at it and he went, oh my God, it is. Same house. Same house. Set those intentions. There's a book that I have on my shelf. I haven't read it in years. One of these days I'll dig that back out. But it's called Write It Down and Make It Happen. Write it down, make it happen. And the gist of the book is, even if you don't hang on to that piece of paper and have it in front of your face all the time, like, I've got all this stuff, you can do this. What is it that you want? Put it on the piece of paper. Put it in your God jar. A whole bunch of us have a God jar, right? Put it in there. The mere act of writing it down already begins to solidify it, already begins to draw to you the people, places, and things that are going to make that thing happen. And if not that specific thing, something better, right? This or something better. So, cool stuff today, but it's about our path, and it's about the nature of the unfolding of our path. Where does the fuel for my fire lay, and am I going in that direction? Follow the discernment. Follow the discernment. For those of you who, like me, are Princess Bride fans, there's that one scene where Inigo Montoya is holding his sword, and he closes his eyes. He's trying to find something, and he can't find it. And so he beseeches the universe to guide his sword, and it hits the button that opens the hidden door in the tree. Yes, fantasy, but also reality. Also reality. We live this stuff every day. Ah, perfect. Yes, I wrote down that I will go to the Kentucky Derby and we have tickets to go next year. Yes. That's it, right there, in a nutshell. Perfect example. Write some things down and pay attention to if you self-limit. I'm going to make one up. I want to go see Pink in concert. But I can't do that. She doesn't come too close to where we live. Tickets are so expensive. Garbage. None of the how is your problem. Just write it down. Just write it down. That's your homework for today. Should you choose to accept it, write some of those things down. And a while ago we had talked about the young men who lost a friend to drowning and had a conversation about what's 100 things you'd like to do before you die, and they made their lists and then they made them happen. Playing basketball with Barack Obama, why would 4 young men from nowhere think that would happen? And it happened. Write it down. So I'm still working on my 100 list. I don't know how far I am at this point, but I'm still working on it. So have an awesome Thursday. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Paying attention to where is my fuel and am I igniting it? See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.